What's up, Knicks fans? Welcome to another edition of Knicks Latest, your go-to YouTube channel for everything New York Knicks related. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like. Make sure you drop a comment. I will be using your comments as content, so ask a question. Let me know what your prediction is for the second half of the year. Let's get to it. We finally had basketball. Basketball's back. It is about time. It felt like forever. It seems like the Knicks haven't played in like 2-3 weeks, but they're back. They're at the Garden. Before we get to the game against the Detroit Pistons, just wanted to give you my prediction. I told you I'd give it yesterday. And, right now the Knicks are the 3 seed. They are coming off of a nice little February there after having a rough January. OG might play tonight. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Deuce is out until the playoffs. Josh is banged up. He plays here and there. He sits here and there. Mitchell Robinson doesn't play back-to-back games. Jalen has been out a couple times. Cat has been banged up all year. It's been pretty much a rough year for the Knicks' health. And despite all that, they're still the 3 seed, a half game behind Boston. And I truly think that they figured this out. I think that stretch in January, they went through some adversity. At the moment, at the time, it didn't feel right? There was some panic amongst Knicks fans thinking that, all right, this may not be working out with Mike Brown. I don't know if this new system's working. I don't know if they're paying attention to him. They can't play defense right now, X, Y, Z, all that. Right, there was some panic there, but then they figured it out. They had some good wins against the Nuggets. They had a good win against the Sixers in Philadelphia. They ripped off 8 straight games, and I think they figured it out. I think they found themselves a little bit. They've been playing better defense, which to me is the most important thing here. The offense will take care of itself. We can complain about maybe Jalen Brunson pounding the rock a little bit in the half court, maybe not enough ball movement, but at the end of the day, they've always had a good offensive rating. The defense has turned it around. A lot has to do with OG Anunoby playing like the defensive player that he is. Mikal Bridges stepping up. Mitchell Robinson, when he's in the game, doing well. And I think Jalen and Cat have actually paid more attention to detail and have been better on the ball as of late as well. If that continues, to me, I don't think there's any reason why this Knicks team should not be the 2 seed. I know Cleveland has been playing well. They just acquired James Harden. Out of nowhere, they're just a couple games behind the 2 seed right now, behind the New York Knicks as a 3 seed as well. They are hot. I think they are a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. I think it's the Pistons, the Knicks, and the Cavs, however order you want to put it in. But I do think the Knicks went through their valleys and the peaks of valleys. I think they're finally outside on the other end. I don't think winning the NBA Cup was a fluke. I don't think it was a bad thing. It shows that when this team has their back against the wall, when the games really matter, they can deliver. And yes, they went on a little bit of a skid after that, but they turned it around. And that's what you want to see from a team. I'd rather have the adversity in January than have it in May, June, right? You don't want a bad stretch during that time. You want to be hitting your peak then. And I do believe that by the time the playoffs come in April, the Knicks will be hitting their peak. I feel very good about this team considering how they finished up in February. They had that one bad loss against Indiana. I don't know what happens when they see Pacer jerseys, especially in Madison Square Garden. It doesn't make any sense to me. I can excuse that because the next night in Philadelphia, they basically embarrassed the 76ers, beat them more than they've ever beaten them before. I know they didn't have Embiid, but, that's the team that showed up. And Jose Alvarado has been a nice addition. Just got Jeremy Shohan, who we'll talk about in a second. I really like what Leon Rose did at the deadline, getting reinforcements on the defensive end, which I think this team desperately needed. And Leon delivered with the minimal salary cap that he had. So shout out Leon. Shout out Mike Brown for turning this around. And shout out for the Knicks for not giving up on this season, for holding themselves accountable, and for turning the season around. And I think that's going to continue. I don't really see another valley here, the peaks and valleys of the season. I think the Knicks are, at best, when they are at their best, they're the best team in the East. I don't know if they'll catch Detroit for the 1 seed, but I do believe that the New York Knicks are going to finish as the 2 seed heading into the playoffs. So that's my prediction here. Right now, they're 35-20. I'm going to say they're going to win about 54 games. That's my prediction here. All right, let's move on. Knicks Pistons tonight at the Garden, a huge matchup. The Pistons will be missing Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart because of the fight they had in Charlotte. OG Anunoby is questionable. We'll see if he plays. But this is a game that is really important to the Knicks. Mike Brown did not mince any words when he was talking about this to the media. They are well aware of what the Pistons have done to them so far this season. They have blown them out the water twice in Detroit so far. Granted, Cat missed last game, OG missed last game. You still want to be competitive, and they just weren't. This is a game that the Knicks, in my opinion, I don't say have to win. I don't think it's a must-win game, but it is a nice litmus test. You could think they're better than the Pistons, but right now, the records don't say that they are, and the results don't say that they are either, right? Right now, this season, the Pistons have been better than the Knicks. So this is a litmus test for the Knicks, despite what happened last year in the playoffs. I want to see where the Knicks are in relation to the best team in the NBA, percentage-wise. The Pistons are the best team in the NBA. So this is the game I'm expecting the Knicks to show up and play. No, you cannot get your doors blown off today. You cannot, not at home. All right, they've lost twice in Detroit, blown out in Detroit. Now they come to New York. This is where you make your statement. I don't care who's playing for Detroit. They didn't care who was playing when we were in Detroit. All right? You figure this out. You pull off a W. It would be nice if you blew them out too. Send a statement their way. I don't know if that's going to happen. But no Jalen Duren, no Isaiah Stewart. You're going to have Paul Reed there starting, and he's filled in nicely. But they're missing two of their big guys. This is a W. I want the Knicks to win this. I'm expecting the Knicks to win this. If the Knicks are who I think they are, if they have figured this out, I do think that they're going to win tonight against the Detroit Pistons. I'm expecting it. Detroit does cause a lot of problems for the Knicks. Asar Thompson, I don't think he can shut down Jalen Brunson, but it's not even so much if you shut him down or not. It's making the offensive process more difficult for the Knicks, right? If you're pressing him full court, you're turning him over. By the time the offense gets started, there's 13 seconds left on the shot clock, and everybody's kind of frazzled. Point of attack defense is up, and nobody can move, right? It's not so much whether or not Jalen goes 4 for 20 again. It's how does the offense look with Asar Thompson pressuring them, and if Jalen Brunson's not bringing up the ball, is Mikal Bridges bringing up the ball comfortably, right? Are we having Jalen off ball and running actions to get him open or as a decoy? Can we run offense through Cat? Can we run offense through Mikal Bridges? Those are things I'm going to be looking for. How are the Knicks responding to the defensive pressure of the Detroit Pistons, especially with Jalen off the ball? Because that's going to be the key to whether or not I think they beat him in the playoffs, right? Can you create offense without Jalen Brunson? That's going to be huge. Also, can you defend on the other side of the court? Now, if OG Anunoby's out, that's huge, right? Because that's your best defender. He's somebody who's going to guard Cade in the playoffs, you figure. So that, you'll take some results with a grain of salt, but you don't want to get blown out. You don't want the Pistons in the paint at will, like they have been for 2 games against the Knicks this season. The Knicks defense has been better. The defensive rating has been top 5 in the league since their win streak, but they did get smoked by the Pistons. Josh Hart wasn't healthy that game. OG was out, but it's been a couple weeks now, and I do expect the revenge factor to take over here. I want to see some pride from the New York Knicks. I want to see Mitch play better. He didn't have a good game in Detroit last time they played. He had a really weird game. So I would like to see Mitchell Robinson show up. But those are the keys to the game to me. You're not going to be able to stop Cade Cunningham, but you got to cut off everybody else. And they don't have Jalen Duren to run offense through in the half court today. And that's a huge part of what they do offensively in the half court this year. So they don't have that. They don't have their backup Isaiah Stewart either. They should dominate the boards. I know Paul Reed is a solid backup. I know he's a solid NBA player. But with Mitchell Robinson there, you should dominate the boards. With Cat there, you should dominate the boards. This is the game at home that the New York Knicks should win, and I'm looking forward to it. Another thing I'm looking forward to, Jeremy Shohan's debut today against the Detroit Pistons. Mike Brown has alluded that he's going to see what he has in Jeremy, Now, I don't know if that means Diawara loses minutes or what, but we're going to see some Jeremy Shohan minutes today. I don't know if it's going to be 10, 15, 20 minutes. We'll see. I guess it depends on how he plays. If he goes out there, he has a couple steals, couple dunks, assists, and whatnot, I'm sure Mike Brown's going to leave him out there. He's going to be coming off the bench. We'll see what type of lineups he's in. He's not somebody who can spread the floor and shoot the 3. I'm sure the Pistons are going to play off on him, dare him to shoot. So maybe on the offensive end, it might get a little clunky if Mitchell Robinson's out there at the same time or if Josh Hart's out there at the same time. There might be some, a lot of space given to Jeremy, a lot of crowded bodies in the paint. But we'll see how it goes offensively. I'm more concerned how it goes defensively. I want to see if he's able to lock up, certain players on the Pistons. If we could put him, on a Tobias Harris, for instance, if Tobias is in the game, right? Someone who can shut him down or have his life be more difficult. Because outside of Cade, to me, Tobias is the only person who can create their own shot on the daily. Now, maybe their minutes don't match up because Tobias starts, Jeremy comes off the bench, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. The Pistons bench, they're more guard-oriented. They're fast, with Jenkins, with Ron Holland. it's a little bit of a different vibe there. And Isaiah Stewart's not there today. So, there's really no big off the bench that really scares me or that I think Jeremy would be attached to in this game. But, I would like to see how versatile he is and, make sure he dominates the paint, grab some boards, block some shots, be a disruptor on defense. That's what I'm looking for tonight. So those are two things I'm looking for tonight. It's Jeremy Shohan's debut and how the Knicks respond to the Detroit Pistons ass whoopings that they took in Detroit 2 times this year. I fully expect them to win tonight. I hope you do too. All right, listen, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, let me know what your prediction is for the game for the rest of the season. We'll be back tomorrow to give a game recap, any rumors, any headlines regarding the New York Knicks, and your comments as well. So make sure you drop a comment, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow for an episode of Knicks Latest. Peace.